As runners, we all challenge ourselves in ways we never thought possible, pushing the boundaries of what we're capable of to smash through targets and set ourselves new, bigger and better ones.
This awesome hobby that we share gives us one thing in common, and it brings us together as a community. Whether you're working towards completing your first parkrun or you're a veteran of the sport who's run 100 ultra marathons, we all know the feeling of reaching that maxed out effort and our own red line.
Welcome to our podcast, where your hosts Brett Elesmore and Andy Maguire discuss the struggles, the successes and everything in between on our running journeys, as we all work towards the next time we're running the red line. Hello and welcome to episode 66 of Running the Red Line. I am your host Brett and I am joined as always by Andy. How are you doing this week, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. It's Saturday afternoon. We're not recording at our normal time.
I know, it's not Friday. It's a bit weird, isn't it?
We're hiding inside because have you been outside in this afternoon?
It's lovely,
roasting.
isn't it? Yeah, it's lovely.
What are we doing? Why are we spending hours and hours talking about not running behind the computer desk?
Exactly.
But no, it's quite nice out there. It's been quite a lovely day. I did a speed session this morning, and I didn't realise.
No parkrun for you, was there?
No, I didn't do a parkrun, so I did a session this morning because we had to go and get Daisy from the kennels, and I just thought I can't do both. And I knew that I needed to do something today. And I thought, well, that'll be fine. 10 o'clock in the morning is going to be okay. Won't be that hot. Bang. Got out there. It was like being in Miami. Like the humidity by 10 o'clock already. But we wouldn't be British, would we, unless we were moaning or slagging off the weather. So it's either too hot or too cold. But all of a sudden, it's just so muggy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
I quite like it, though. I quite like the heat, but
it is nice.
I do prefer to be too cold than being too hot, but I don't mind it when it is warm. I quite like it when it's warm.
Yeah, it is a nice level of heat at the moment. And I imagine fast forward about a month when it's like none of us can sleep at night. That's not quite so pleasant.
Yeah,
but
yeah, and you've got every window open and the fan on and absolutely everything. Yeah, and it's still too hot.
Yeah. But no, the reason we're recording today is because I was at a wedding yesterday, and it was really, really good. I was saying in our pre-podcast that this was a little bit of a.
Sorry, we ought to record the podcast and put it out as like a extra feature or something.
Patreon. We can make loads of money. Actually, who would want to listen to like 5 hours worth of us two?
Yeah. And no one's going to pay for that.
No, but no, I'll listen to the free waffle, thanks. Or actually, no, I won't listen to either. But I was saying earlier to you that I am at a point now with like my wedding photography and videography where I wouldn't say I've lost the spark for it. I've lost the love for it, but I think running has got a lot to do with this, but it's kind of all I'm doing is just think about running every day now. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to work and big clients and stuff, I've really struggled over the last couple of years, and I don't know where this has come from. Maybe I genuinely don't know, but I wouldn't say anxious, but I get quite overthinky about big jobs. And what used to be nervous excitement going into one of these big jobs, in the last few times I've done this job, turns into like nervous dread. And that feeling of dread is just the worst feeling, because you start having, I'm sure you got this with your Shrek, the musical. Did you have the I've forgotten all my lines dreams, or did you have those kind of, so it's the same for me going into a job. It's like, I've forgotten my memory cards. I've got no batteries, or I've got all these.
It's like the pre-race dream where you forget your race shoes or you've only got one of them.
Yeah. And it's just all the things that could go wrong with that important thing are going wrong in your dream. And it's like, it's all part of it. But it helped that I did a bit. I spoke to the couple leading up to this wedding, and turns out as a couple, they are just amazing people. And they're both really good musicians. And I did a bit of Instagram stalking on them. And it turns out that they're like right up our street. And I just went into this wedding thinking, I'm really excited to do this. And it almost lit a fire for me that I didn't know was there. Nice. And I got to this wedding. The day went amazingly well. The job didn't really feel like a job, because that old saying they say when, if your hobby becomes your job, you don't work a day in your life.
Yeah.
It was a little bit like that. I was like, wow, I'm at work here, but I'm having a really good time. So yeah, Laura and I filmed this wedding down in St. Albans, and it was just so much fun, so much going on, loads and loads of stuff, loads of content. I could say, I hate that word really, but loads of stuff for us to capture. And I'm really glad now, because I'm going to put a little bit of time and effort now into sort of remarketing myself.
Yeah.
And hoping to get more jobs like that by squeezing all the juice out of yesterday and posting loads about it. So hopefully we can get more clients like yesterday's. But it was great. It was my first same-sex wedding. I've never done one in years of doing this job. And there were two girls called Frankie and Vicky. Vicky is a singer in a band, country western band. And I didn't realise I was a massive yeehaw country and western fan until this week. So I've started watching and listening to all her tunes with her band, who are on like Radio 2's playlist, and they're pretty big, by the way.
Oh wow! Okay.
And the other bride is a session musician, guitarist, and she's currently on the West End playing like 8 shows a week, and it sounds like a crazy life for MJ the musical.
Oh, amazing!
They were both like, let's just say they'd both been enjoying their own wedding. And it got to about 9:30 last night, just before we went. Someone basically threw the electric guitar at Frankie and said, right, up you come. And then they dropped Beat It. And I'm thinking, can she do this solo? Can anybody do that? She obliterated it. Like Van Halen probably would have said, you've done a good job there, Frankie.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And she'd had about 28 Prosecco's, 16 gin and tonics, and she just completely smashed it. And it was just a really, really amazing event to capture. So I really can't wait to put that all together. So it's going to be really fun.
Excellent. So it wasn't an evening wasted. So rather than recording the pod, it was actually a much better way to spend your evening, rather than chatting about, I don't know, aliens.
There was less earwax removal chat last night. Yeah, that's for sure. But no, it was a good day. So, and we had a midnight KFC, which I'm sort of regretting now. But we had, because you know what it's like, life on the road and all that. You do these long drives, and you just have to eat forecourt food or service station food. And so this morning's run was fueled by a Mighty Bucket for one. And fortunately got through that, but I haven't quite got through the rest of the day. So let's just leave that there. So,
you're waiting for it to show its face again.
Yeah, again. Yeah, I'm sure it will. But no, good day at the office, and there were no runners there, so I couldn't really chat about running to anyone. Not like last year, the wedding I did a month ago when sub 3. Who said sub 3? I heard one of the ushers say sub 3. So I tell you what though, I nearly wore my Evo SLs to work yesterday, like as a working shoe. Yeah, because I just find them so comfortable. The only thing that stopped me was I got them out of the box, because I think they're quite smart. I think they're actually quite casual. And The only thing that stopped me was they were covered in mud.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I thought, I haven't cleaned them.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really. So I didn't wear them in the end.
Yeah. See, the big white stripes on your pair might have,
Oh, I haven't took the bag
been...
out. Me tea bag. Me tea. I thought, what is that in me tea? Oh my God, there's a fish in me tea. Oh my God, that just scared the life out of me then. I still left the bag in. I was wondering why this tea was strong. Sorry, mate.
Sorry, I saw you looking at the tea, and I was like, I'm just going to carry on talking because he's pulling a face at his tea, and I don't know what's going on.
I was retreating. I was backing away from the tea. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah,
Brilliant.
I thought this is a bit strong.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, the big white stripes on your SLs might be the only thing that you might not pull off as a more formal shoe. They need to do a colourway that's all black, don't they?
They do. There is black on black, though, isn't there? But you'll be surprised now at what wedding videographers and photographers can get away with wearing now. Because unless it was a black tie event, I'm wearing black jeans. Maybe not a shirt as garish as this, but like I'm wearing a shirt that I don't know. I just feel comfortable wearing, and at the end of the day, it needs to reflect you as a person and your brand and all that sort of stuff. So, I once, when I first started the job, I used to wear a suit and tie. You cannot wear a suit and tie. Some people will, but you can't. Like, I watch a lot of American wedding how-tos, and they're all in suit jackets and they're all in like waistcoats and tie. Like, how are you squatting down to get like?
I was going to say, wearing a suit and like the jacket and everything, trying to get all the correct angles for the photos. How they do that, I don't know.
How good are those brogues going to be when you're traipsing through fields to try and get shots on a field at golden hour? Like, you've got to have the correct tools for the job, and going down Moss Bros ain't it. You don't want to be wearing a suit for that sort of job. So you'd be surprised how casual wedding photographers and videographers are these days. We're the scruffiest people there, and we're there all day. But we don't care because all we care about is getting the job done. But so we're on this side of the camera, so don't care. It doesn't matter what we're wearing.
Exactly. Did they feed you? Because that's one thing I've noticed. Like the covers band I'm in have played a few weddings and a few parties and stuff, and they've all sat down for food, and they've basically ushered us into a side room and gone, you sit in there whilst we all eat, and then you can come out and do your music. And it's like, hang on a minute, we've been here all day, we've set up the PA, we've had to wait around all day, and now you're ushering us into a side room whilst you can all have your food.
Yeah, we did. Well, we got that sort of treatment. Like, everybody was in the teepee, and then we got the picnic benches outside. So we're in the full sun, just sat there, no umbrella or nothing. But fortunately, the sun went in. But we got literally a plate of meat, 3 plates of meat, and some salad, no carbs. Ooh. So I thought that was a bit strange. I don't know why they didn't bring us any potatoes out, but they brought us this really nice salad. Which I obviously had none of. It was straight for the meat, and it was there were big barbecue chicken thighs and cuts of steak, and it was really nice. Like, depends how you like your steak, but it was all sort of pink in the middle, and it was really really good. And it was really really good food. But of course, they give it you 6 minutes before the speeches start. So you should have seen me. Literally, I was like a hamster with I had like a half a cow in this cheek and about eight chickens in that one. Just trying to get all my food down whilst photographing video in the speeches, because they were like, I was halfway through and you hear the tap of the mic. Right, come on, introducing the father of the bride. And we're like, oh God, we're gonna go. Action stations. But so no carbs, but that's probably a good thing, because I would have absolutely smashed the carbs and I wouldn't be able to move all night. after that.
Yeah, you needed a nap whilst they were doing the first dance.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. But and again, not having a moan, but
Yeah.
it's become really trendy now to break up the wedding breakfast with speeches after the starters, after the main, after the
Oh,
desserts, which is
really?
a nightmare for us wedding
Wow.
suppliers. So we can't really have we normally have it's like chaos for 4 hours. Then we have our 2 hour break, and then it's chaos again for the dance
Yeah.
floor stuff and the first dance and that sort of stuff. But you get how the length of a course to not really relax, because at any minute you could be like, we need to go back to work. So it was done like that. But that's how things are done these days. And
Yes. Yeah, it's part of
you
the
gotta
job, isn't it?
you
So,
gotta do it. Yeah. So I got home last night. The sleep I had, you know that phrase, you're asleep before your head hit the pillow.
yeah.
That is what happened to me. I put something in my ears, put my sleep mask on to listen to a YouTube video. I didn't even make the first advert. I don't even remember the advert. I pressed play and I think I was asleep. So I had a good night's sleep last night.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
dude, how are you? I've just realised I've just been whittering on again. So, how are you? How the devil are you? Give us tell us what happened this week in Fracture Watch. Oh,
Yeah.
Fracture Watch. Stress Fracture Watch.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That actually reminds me. I don't know if you ever listened to a podcast called The Coffee Club,
No.
which is it's
Is that the comedians?
no,
No,
it's
no,
it's
no.
three runners, so
Okay.
they all run for On, and it's two Australians and a guy from New Zealand. So it's
Right.
Morgan McDonald, Ollie Hoare, and George Beamish.
Yeah.
Who are all like Olympians for On. And George Beamish going into Paris Olympics was a bit injured, and then still went and did the Olympics because he was like, I want to try and do my best in the Olympics. And then after the Olympics, got a scan and everything, and he'd got a fractured what part was it? Sacrum stress fracture. So
Where's that?
So it's part of your pelvis, but round the back.
When you say that, all I'm just thinking of is scrotum, which is why I think you're smiling.
no. It's basically the bottom of like your tailbone. So where your spine goes down, it's all the way down at the bottom in like your pelvis and stuff. But he'd got a sacrum stress fracture. So for the next couple of months on the podcast every week, they were doing Gooch Watch. Which I thought was quite good.
That is pretty good.
Out how his stress fracture was. But mine just mega frustrating now. It's 5 weeks since London, and I've done a grand total of nothing at all exercise wise. I don't think my heart rate has got out of zone 1 for the last 5 weeks at all. And it's really starting to get annoying now. My leg was a bit achy and sore a couple of weeks ago. So I got in with the doctors because on my appointment for the fracture clinic was supposed to be Wednesday coming up.
Right.
But I got in with the doctors because it said any changes to what's going on, get in touch with your GP.
Yeah.
So went up to the GP, and he was really good actually. And he got me in a week early. So I actually went down to fracture clinic Wednesday, just gone. And I was hoping that the aching and it was healing. And it was aching because it was healing. And I was going to go down on Wednesday, and they were going to go, yeah, you can probably get rid of the boot and just rest it for a bit more, and then you can get back to doing something soon. But went down on Wednesday. I got there at 10:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
I finally left at about, I think it was about 1:30, nearly 2:00 when I left the hospital. Took me 2 hours of waiting in the waiting room before I even saw anybody at all. So that was interesting. But yeah, I eventually got to see the doctor, and he sent me to the X-ray department to get new X-rays. So went and did that, and then went back, and he got the X-rays instantly. So why that didn't happen before, and why it took him 10 days to get me the results last time, I have no idea. But anyway, he got the X-rays instantly, and he pulled the first one up and went, "Oh, yeah, I can't actually see the fracture on this X-ray," and then clicked onto the next image, and he went, "Oh no, there it is," and it was instantly recognizable that the stress fracture was there. And he basically just said, "It's healing, but it's taking its time, and stress fractures take a lot longer than a full fracture to actually heal. So it is healing, but I've just got to wait until it's fully healed." So he said, keep the boot and go away, and I'll see you in 8 weeks. So I've got another 8 weeks in the boot. But he is hoping that in 8 weeks' time it will be fully healed. But it's just a case of I'm now stuck in this boot for the whole of summer, more or less, because it'll be the end of July when I go back for my next appointment. So, yeah, I asked if I could do any exercise. I said, "Can I do any exercise at all?" And he said, "Oh, you could probably do some light exercises and if you're putting any weight in, maybe just a kilogram or so, some very lightweight." And I was like, no, not that type of exercises. Cardio. Can I do some cardio exercise? And he was like, And I said, "What about static bike in the gym?" And he said, "Possibly, yeah, you could do some exercise bike, just very gentle though, no resistance." And I was like, okay. And I went, "What about cycling?" And he went, no. And he went,
"Not even any cycling."
No. And he basically said anything that could twist my leg or put any impact through my leg is a no. So I've just got to, basically rest and lose loads of muscle and put loads of fat on.
It's brutal advice, isn't it? But it sounds like this doctor you've been speaking to is giving you the hard kind of these hard lines that will hopefully make follow this advice, do this, because there'll be people listening to this who have had stress fractures and probably saying, well, unfortunately there is no other way to get around this than doing that. And you probably don't want to be hearing this, but before you know it, hopefully before you know it, probably seems hours probably feel like days to you at the moment, but before you know it, you will be lacing those shoes up again. And you will be out there soon.
As I say, it's 8 weeks from Wednesday just gone, so it'll be the end of July. But yeah, it's just really frustrating because I can't do anything, and because running has become such a big part of my life. My whole schedule each week was based around when I run. And because I'm not running, my schedule for the week has now been turned on its head, and I'm so upside down. I don't know what I'm doing. I've lost loads of motivation to do anything at all. I just, because the other problem is, because when I'm walking in the boot, because I'm now walking funny, because I've got this boot that's not allowing my ankle to flex, and it's a big weight on my leg, and it's higher up than my other foot. I'm walking with a bit of a waddle, so therefore I'm getting like groin pain and glute pain in my good leg because I'm compensating for the weird way I'm walking. So that's annoying me. So I don't really want to go and do too much walking or moving around because of that. But then at the same time, I don't want to sit around doing nothing because that will just absolutely fry my brain. So I've resorted to doing housework and some decorating in the house.
To try and get your heart rate up. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just to so I'm doing something rather
Your
than
pots and
sitting.
I bet your pots and pans have never been so clean.
Well, I've
trying to get into zone 2.
Yeah, I've cleaned and painted the whole of my bedroom. I've done all the stairs and the hallway and the landing. I've now moved into the front room, and I should have done it years ago, and I got halfway through it, but I'm now actually getting it done of doing my fireplace so I can have a log burner. I'm now
Nice.
sorting all that out and getting that sorted. So there are good things coming out of it, but at the same time, I'd much rather be out running.
Yeah. By the way, if you get a log burner installed, you will not regret it. You'll never leave the house in winter.
Well, I had
It's one of the best things we've ever had.
Yeah. When I moved into my house, I had a gas fire, and behind it was the Baxi boiler for the house.
Yeah.
So I've had a combi boiler fitted. So I've had the gas fire and the Baxi boiler ripped out.
Yeah.
And when I had that done a couple of years ago, I was like, right, I'm going to sort all this now and have a log burner. And I got as far as having the chimney swept and the liner put down the chimney, and then I got no further.
So you've pretty much done the hard work. If there's already a chimney there.
Yeah, so I've got the chimney, I've got the liner down the chimney. All I needed to do was sort out the block work and sort out where the log burner is going to sit and get a piece of granite cut so I can have it there and paint all of it so I can then fit the log burner. But I just haven't got round to it. So it's sat basically with a hole there and a board rested up against it so the cats can't get in there for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So I'm actually getting it done, which is good.
Oh, amazing.
But
when you get it in, you'll love it. You'll absolutely love it.
Yeah, but still, I'd much rather be running than doing that. But
yeah.
It's all things to take my mind off it, because if I'm doing something, my brain's active and it can't be thinking, oh, you could be out running now.
Well, speaking of, I mean, this is probably going to make you feel 10 times worse, but I've noticed last week, I think the one and only TQ, Todd Quiny,
he's back
has
running,
done his first run back. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just sort of stalking his Strava here. And on the May the 23rd, which was last week, he did his first time running today after nearly 8 weeks.
Yeah.
All about the slow steps. He did 2 by 5 minutes off 3 to 4 minute walks, and then 1 by 10 minutes. And
amazing.
Yeah, it says no pain at all. Feels so good just to jog. Mid Cheshire tonight, too ambitious. It must have been the day of the
that was last Friday.
Mid Cheshire 5K. Yeah.
Yeah.
So well, that's great, Todd. That's amazing.
That's incredible.
Some time away. So yeah,
he'll be back on it before you know it. He'll be back running 16-minute park runs.
Yeah, it won't be long. Yep. Screaming partridgeisms whilst doing 5K pace.
Yeah.
Not my face. I'm doing a photo shoot for Vision Express. So yeah. So fair play, Todd. That's amazing to see you back. So
yeah, awesome. Yeah. Other person who is back running is Sam.
Yes, of course. That's amazing. He's released some videos as well that I've seen showing his training that he's going to be doing the Snowdon Marathon, which sounds easy.
Yeah, it's a trail one as well, isn't it? It's not just the Snowdon Marathon; it's the Snowdon Trail Marathon he's doing. Yeah,
that's actually quite a good race to prep for, having been injured, I think, because hopefully the surfaces will be slightly more gentle and, saying that, sheer cliff rock faces, I don't know, maybe not. But it's the pace is going to be all over the place, isn't it? There'll be walking, there's going to be running. So, yeah, I think that's probably a good race to prep for, having been injured for a long time. So, yeah, fair play to Sam from the YouTube channel and socials. Light it up. Good to see you back as well, dude. And long may it continue.
Yes, yeah. Best of luck. It keeps on going forwards for both of you. But what's this week been like for you training wise? Because when we started the pod, I was thinking, oh yeah, he's getting back into training because it's a week after his marathon. But then I realised that we missed a week, didn't we? So although we did your recap last week, it was 2 weeks. It's now 2 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, 3.
Oh,
well,
3 weeks now.
3 tomorrow.
Okay,
3.
yeah. So this week's training was 2 weeks post. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Cool.
So the post couple of weeks, I think I did 5K. I know the week after the marathon on the Parkrun. The week after that, I did a couple of easy local loops and nothing intense. But at the end of that week, that's when I went and did my Warsaw time trial, which is last week. And
how did that go?
Well, have I not talked about that?
No, because we did last Friday, didn't we? And then you went and did it Saturday.
Of course. Okay, yes. So I should probably explain. Right, over the next 6 weeks, I want to try and get a 5K PB. I've thought with all the marathon training and the marathon that went really well, I just think now could be a good time to just try and look at my 5K stuff. So I went and did went and ran as hard as I physically could around Warsaw Arboretum, which has changed, by the way. I didn't do my research. Got there, and it was the second week then running on the new course. So it's not even the first week. So God knows how I missed that. But they've made it. They've put a hill in there, and you have to run up it twice. And it's not quite the fast and flat Warsaw Arbo that everyone knows and loves. So if you do have a go at it, I'd love to hear your thoughts about how different it is, because I've heard reports that it could be up to 30 seconds slower than the old course.
That's a big chunk over 5K, isn't it?
Yeah, depending on where you are in the field, of course. Maybe that's further down the field. Maybe that's right at the front. I'm not quite sure. But I ran as hard as I physically could. First 2K went really well. It was on pace, and then 3 and 4, I was down to like half marathon pace, and I was just thinking to myself, I'm still not recovered from this marathon, and what am I trying to achieve here? And then my 5K, picked it back up, and I got back on pace for the 5K. And what was quite funny was I overtook a guy, reeled him in with about half a K to go, and then he reeled me in. He's like, no, don't be silly, mate. You're not overtaking me up a hill. So he overtook me back. And then on the final straight, I had him again. So I was like, sorry, mate. I'm filming a video here. So excuse me while I pass you on your right. Excellent. So then I got in 2042 in the end, Parkrun time. And it's pretty much where I thought it was going to be. I thought it'd be around about 2030. So 2042 is not far off. And it was a reminder, because it's been a while since I've done any fast stuff. And bear in mind, I haven't been to club sessions for 3 weeks because of the marathon. So that 5K was from my marathon training and the marathon 3 weeks ago. So I probably wouldn't have run as fast as I ever have in my life on that day. But I was still quite pleased with the way I ran. I was pleased with the time. And immediately I thought to myself, 2 things. How on earth have I run this over a minute faster? And what on earth am I going to do to get back to that?
Yeah.
And what I am doing is a summer of speed. So I'm going to try over the next 6 weeks. I just keep attending my club sessions, and then Saturday sessions with a Sunday easy run. Now, before I go into what I've done this week, I wanted to get your opinion on something, right? And everyone who's listening to this. And this is probably a battle that we all face, or a question there is no answer to. But what's the ideal mileage for a 5K block? Because I have dropped my mileage almost 50% from my peak marathon mileage. So obviously it wouldn't be a good idea for me to go straight back up to 60 mile a week. So I'm now sitting at about 30 miles for the week, and I'm thinking of keeping it there. So I'm not really doing much easy stuff. Let's just call it filler. You know, when you go for those easy runs that are 10K, 15K, or 6 miles or whatever, and it's nice and easy, or they're steezy or whatever, I'm not doing them. And the reason is, and I might have to live and die by this, that I want to use the time in between speed sessions to recover for the next one, rather than going out for an active recovery 10K.
Yeah. I think you still need that volume though, because 5K, although it is very much running flat out for 5K, it's not an all-out sprint. It's still an endurance event that you need to run for as you're trying 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So 20 minutes of running is very different than a couple of minutes around the track a couple of times.
Yeah.
So it's still an endurance event. It's still a longer distance event. So I think you still need that volume to prepare you for the distance and time on feet, if you get what I mean. Yeah. So yes, you need the speed because you're wanting to get your race pace quicker. So you want to do those speed sessions, but you don't want to only do that. You need to be working both engines. You need to be working that VO2 max engine, but also that endurance engine as well. So, I mean, when I'm training for the marathon, I peak very much like at the top around 90, 95 miles in a week. That is my very big peak. But when I'm not training for a marathon, I've run my best races from 5K up to half marathon on about 60 mile a week.
Right.
So I'm not dropping it stupidly low. There's still quite a bit of volume, but I am dropping it a bit from where I would be if I was marathon training.
Yeah.
But you still want that volume in there and that distance in there.
Yeah. Well, what I'm thinking of doing is treating it like a marathon block and just slowly, gradually build. Well, not gradually, because I haven't got the gift of time.
Yeah.
I've only got 6 weeks, but I think what I might try and do is that incremental increase of 5% or something like that. So it goes up slightly.
Although I will say you don't want to be increasing mileage and intensity at the same time. So if you're starting to do all of these mega high intensity sessions, you don't want to be putting extra mileage on as well, because as you say, your body's not going to recover. So you need to do one or the other.
So, okay, let's see if you can give me some solutions. So, you know how you said you revolve your life around the runs you would do? That's pretty much what I'm going to do, because I've got my Tuesday, my Thursday club sessions, and my Sunday long run, which I always believe is, a staple of the. So I'll probably won't run much further than a half marathon on that day. And when I run my Sunday long runs, that's almost like a recovery, easy pace. There's no need for me to be doing tempo and a marathon pace anymore. So that long run will just purely be nice and easy, especially in this weather as well. It's quite warm. So working back to the start of the week, Tuesdays at club is always a grass session. So instantly it's harder. So what I'm going to do, because at session they do two choices. You've got the more endurance, longer reps, but slower, and maybe there's more of them, or there's the shorter, faster reps, and there's less of them. So what I'm thinking of doing is the longer reps that are slightly slower, and then on Thursday, because every Thursday we have track, I'm going to do the bullet reps. I'm going to do the faster, shorter stuff. But I did that Thursday just gone, and the coach actually said, well, because you guys, she didn't actually say this, but reading between the lines, she said to me and Merv, because you guys are older and slower than the kids, why don't you take less recovery and do 2 sets?
She basically said, you should have been doing that at 800 meter pace, but because you did it at 5K pace, you could probably
let you off. Because I do, like when the kid, I keep calling them the kids, they're not the kids, but when the 17, 18-year-olds come round and they're all in a pack, I'm thinking, how on earth are you guys running this fast? It is blisteringly quick. And there's no chance I could run the same pace as that. So there was only me and Merv running together doing these paces. And let's be honest, we're still running quite fast, which we'll get into in a minute. I was running like 320 a K, 330 a K, but the kids are running like 255s. They're running like world record marathon pace over 800 meters or 400 meters, which I can't do anyway. And so it feels like 1500 meter pace.
Yeah.
But it's not. But so yeah, that's what I want to work my week around, and maybe like I've done today, instead of a park run, a Saturday session, or if I do a park run, what I'll do is instead of it being a time trial at Arrow Valley or somewhere where it's very PBable, I'll go to maybe a hard course and challenge myself on a hard course like White Forest or with hills.
But why don't you on a Saturday do maybe parkrun as an easy warm up or a steady warm up, and then do a session after parkrun, so you're getting that extra little bit of volume with a longer warm up?
See, apart from that long run I did just before Leeds Marathon, where I used the parkrun as the warm up, I don't think I've ever done a speed session after a parkrun, because I watched the Quinies do this on Q on the Run. They'll go and do Telford 5K or Wolves or Warsaw, and then they'll do
some hill sprints,
6 minutes on, 6 minutes off, or whatever it is. Well, not 6 minutes off, 6 minutes on, or whatever they'll do, and they'll do the hill sprints, that sort of stuff. So yeah, maybe that could be a good idea.
Yeah.
But one thing I didn't mention, in fact, I'll talk you through my week. Right, so Tuesday, I didn't run Monday. Tuesday, I did an easy 6K just around the deer park, not far from us. And then Tuesday night went to club and did it absolutely hammered down. So we did the grass session on the Tuesday, and I'm thinking, what on earth am I going to wear on my feet? Because I don't know if I want to wear my Takumis, because they've got like the mesh upper with wet grass. I'm going to come out in blisters. So I went with this. People will probably chuckle at this. I went with Gore-Tex trail shoes.
Which ones?
My Nike Pegs Trail 5s, which I'm actually I'm actually really enjoying wearing them at the moment. I got off to a rocky start with them. I didn't really like them when I first got them, but I actually do quite like them now. But yeah, did the Tuesday session, and I'm just frantically trying to look at my Strava to remember what I actually did on Tuesday. But the reason for wearing my trail shoes goes a little bit beyond grip against the grass. I like to sometimes challenge myself and make it harder for myself. And I think
that's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, sometimes if you make it harder in the sessions and don't allow yourself to have those speedy carbon plated shoes and stuff in the sessions, when you actually put them on for the race or the like faster stuff, you feel the benefit of them. That's what I try to do with all of my marathon training. I never wear the carbons in any of the training. Yeah. And then when you put them on for race day, you go, ooh, I've got an extra bit of boost here.
Yeah, there's a benefit there, isn't there? Yeah. And these are my reps. So they're slightly up and down, but I'm trying to get away from, which I think is healthy. I'm trying to get away from obsessing over numbers and leaning into effort. So this was 6 by 600. And for example, they were anywhere from 218 to 223. So my slowest was 223, which is rep number 5, of course. And then I looked at my watch and thought, oh, come on, I can do this last one a bit quicker than that. And I did the last rep at 216, which was the fastest one all day. So I was quite pleased with that. And 216 over 600 Garmin. So it's not an exact thing. So someone will probably be like, oh, I think you'll find it's 354. But this says 353 a K, which is fast. That's below sub 20 pace.
Hang on. I'm gonna work it out. I'm gonna do some maths. What were you doing?
So I did 600 meters in 2 minutes 16.
Okay, so hang on. Sorry, I've just Course tires. Okay, so hang on.
He is. He's got his pen and paper out. Go on, Carol.
So that is. Oh, actually, faster than you think. That is 600 meters in 2:16.
Yeah. Is it about 3:45?
No, it's faster than that. It's 3:42.
Yeah,
3:42, 3:43.
Yeah. What was I thinking? I was wearing trail shoes, Gore-Tex trail shoes. What am I doing? Why was I running that fast? I was running on my own as well because Merv wasn't there and to hold my hand and pull me along. So I was running the reps on my own, and the fast group had already gone ahead. And I thought, right, okay, I'll just do my own thing today. So yeah, I was actually really quite pleased with that. So by the end of that session, admittedly the reps did get slowly slower, but my slowest one was still 4 minutes of K pace, was still sub 20 pace, and that was 2:23. So I was really pleased with that. So I think that was a good session. And then I didn't run. Then I didn't run again until Thursday. Yeah. So I didn't run. I didn't double on Thursday. I just went straight to club on Thursday night, which was track. And then at track, I did a warm up of the Worcester Woods Parkrun, which is next door to the track. Then went straight down to track. Obviously, do drills, then strides. And the session was I think this is like just a Worcester thing, or maybe it's a track thing. I don't know. But we always religiously do 2 bend strides just to start the session. And then we go into the session, which was 200, 300, 4, 300, 200. And this is where I was saying that the young uns, they only do one set of this, but but Merv and I did 2.
Yeah, so because they're doing one session, that's probably an 800/1500 meter session. So they're going at 800 meter pace for those shorter reps. So only doing one. That's probably why, because they're going at that much quicker pace.
Well, can you work out? I know get your little pen and paper out again.
Yeah.
Can you work out what a 35-second 200 meter is? Because that was my final rep.
That's a 70/400. So that's 140 800 plus, what was it, 25?
No, 35 seconds.
35. Hang on, so 70, 140. Yeah, 175.
So I can tell you what Garmin thinks it is.
So that's a 2.
Bloody hell.
255 kilometer.
Oh my God. So that was my fastest rep of the day. And that was on the final one. That's when me and Merv said, right, come on, let's just have this last 200. And we did. Smashed it. So that was a fast session as well. And this is what I was talking about like having the days off, not running, and having recovery, because I feel like I can run quality, because they don't know. Christina at club never says quality over quantity. All she says is what we want is quality. She doesn't mention the quantity word. Quality session is what we're after.
Yeah.
And I'm just thrilled that on the Tuesday and the Thursday, I feel like I did a good 2 quality sessions. Yeah. Because I ran really well. I didn't throw the towel in. I didn't say, no, I'm doing this anymore. It's too hard. Like, I'm really glad that I got through it and did well. And you're telling me that I'm running faster than Garmin's telling me. Garmin's telling me I did that at 3:01 per K.
Okay.
I mean, so that's even That's even better.
But
really.
Have you got track mode set on your watch?
No, I'm still doing this by.
See, this is the thing. So GPS will never follow the track exactly. It'll either be too short or too long. Whereas if you've got track mode on your watch, you can set it and say, I'm running in lane 1. So when you lap your watch, it knows you've done exactly 200 meters or exactly 400 meters because it knows that you've done a full lap. So it's going to work out your paces off the distance on the track rather than the distance it thinks over GPS. GPS is never going to be correct on the track. So you always want to go off the actual distance on the track.
So I'll have to look on YouTube about how to set this up on my Forerunner, but I've never got around to it. But anyway, moving on to today, I couldn't do parkrun, so I went and did a session instead. So Beardy Rich said to me the other day, he's like, "Why don't you do 4 by a mile?" I was like, "Well, I don't want to do that because that's longer than a 5K." So I thought I'd do 3 by a mile, which is basically, obviously, getting my Saturday morning fix. And because I don't know if Beardy Rich was saying, "Why don't you do 4 by a mile?" He might have been thinking 10K pace rather than 5K pace. I don't know.
I hate to say it, he's probably right.
Yeah.
But I would have because you've got the rests in between.
Yeah,
it's not the same as doing a full 5K, is it? Yes, you're doing 5K's worth of effort, but you've got the gaps in between. So if you do slightly more effort, then you're having the same effect as that full-on 5K, but you're having the rest in between, which is allowing your body to recover in between. So doing 4 by a mile possibly would have made it feel a bit more like the 5K will.
I have no doubt that Beardy Rich is right. He's just run a 17:49. So if it works for him, it's probably good stuff. And
there's a session that Andy at club gets us to do every now and then, and it's 4 times 1600 meters.
Yeah,
and that is your 5K race predictor.
Right.
So you can take those 4 times from your 1600 meters, put it into a converter, and it'll tell you how fast you should run a 5K.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, I did 3, and I'm actually quite glad because by the time I ran today, it really was muggy, and it was. I'm running off KFC. I'm running on fumes. I had an 18-hour day yesterday.
Yeah,
so
that's
I'm
what I was going to say. Glad. Yeah, and also you'd already done 2 hard sessions in the week, so would you have pushed it a bit too much if you'd done 1 extra? Possibly, because this is your first proper training week since the marathon. You don't want to go fully into it straight away, so it's probably a good thing that you didn't actually do 4.
But like my first rep, and I was running side by side. First 2 reps with Merv, third rep. It's worth mentioning as well that Merv's 5K PB is recently, he's done about 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago. He ran I think he ran 18:48, I think.
Nice.
So he's considerably quicker than me, considering I ran 20:40 the other day. But even he found this session tough today, which is crazy. It's crazy to me because he went and ran a 1:27 half marathon recently. And then here he is running with me today at pretty much the same pace, saying, this is really hard graft. So we were both at a loss. We were thinking, why is this so hard? But today I did my first mile 6:25. So
nice.
Bang on the money. Second mile 6:22. Third mile 6:32. So slowed down slightly for that third mile. But that was enough for me today.
Yeah.
We did 2 minutes.
If you split those averages across the 3, then you were averaging around 6:26, weren't you?
Yeah, which is where I need to be. Yeah. But I want to be a lot below that. I want to be closer to 19:30, really.
But remember, you're at the start of the block. This is your first week of training since the marathon. You've had a couple of weeks off, not really doing anything. You're not going to get straight back into it and be the fastest you've ever been because your body is in marathon pace mode. It's not in 5K mode. Yeah. And you've had a couple of weeks of rest to try and get over that fatigue from the marathon. as they say, it takes, before you should be racing, you should be taking a day off per mile.
Yeah.
So that's 26 days. That's almost a month.
Which none of us ever do.
No. So really, to be in the shape you're in at the moment over 5K isn't bad. It's
good.
It's
Okay,
decent.
cool. Yeah, okay, that's good. That's good to hear. And then we did an easy, just over a mile to cool down, and we did about a 5 or 10 minute warm up as well. So I got about 8K. I know we did more than that. I did nearly 2K, so nearly 2.5 miles or something. So yeah.
So what was going to say? So mileage wise, when you're marathon training, what were you peaking at, or what was your mileage around at the end of the block?
So the last my peak was 100K, which is about 60 miles. So I think in those 3 peak weeks I was about 55 to 60 miles for 3 weeks, then dropped it down for the taper.
Yeah. So I would say you possibly want to be running about 40 mile a week.
Okay, so it's only an extra 10K, 10, 12K more or something. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, a bit more than that, and it's about 15K more.
Yeah. But I would say, that on 40 mile a week, you'll probably run a really good 5K.
Okay, cool.
But you want to spread that out across the week. So when I think about running 60 mile a week, in my head, I think if I can run, because I run 5 times a week, if I run 12 mile each day, that gives me a thingy. But I'm going to do a slightly longer run on the Sunday.
Yeah.
So I could possibly knock that down to 10 mile a day and then do my longer run on the weekend.
Yeah.
So
okay.
So spread it across the week. You know you're going to do about 13 mile on the weekend.
Yeah.
So there's 13 mile already, and you want to hit 40 mile. So you've got 27 mile to split across the other 4 days that you run. Because do you run 5 days a week, or do you run 4?
Yeah, at the moment it's going to be 5. Yeah, because I'm doing. I would normally have run yesterday, put maybe another easy session in on a Friday, but I didn't.
Yeah.
So at the moment it's no fewer than 4, but it's probably going to be 5.
27 divided by 4, so you got 6.75 miles. So it's about 10K a day.
Yeah.
Plus your long run on a weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's doable. So, I mean, one other question I was going to ask is, obviously that aerobic base is arguably king. Do you think it's advisable to put more steady stuff in there, even though I'm not marathon training? Or do you think keep the easy days really easy, not steady?
You want to keep your easy day really easy. So your Monday recovery day, still keep that mega easy. But if on the Sunday you're feeling good and you pick it up to steady, I don't think that's a bad thing. But you just don't want to overdo it. You want to keep the freshness for those speed sessions.
Okay, yeah.
But so, if you feel good and it just naturally speeds up, then that's not a problem. Just don't be forcing it to try and get up to those paces if it doesn't feel natural.
It's weird because I think if you think about your top, middle, and bottom paces, let's just say your top paces are your 5K and faster. Your bottom paces are your easy paces and your recovery pace, and that middle section is your, let's just say your marathon pace. I feel like I'm not doing anything in the middle for this next 6 weeks. I'm not touching that kind of effort. Is that a good thing? Because I'm not training for that pace for a good while? Or do you think, base stuff, easy stuff is good?
Yeah.
Top end stuff is good. Do I even need to be in that middle zone?
I don't know, because your pace on a Sunday isn't going to be the same as your pace on a Monday, is it?
No.
So your Monday is going to be your easy pace, your easy recovery pace. So your Sunday is still going to be faster than that. It's going to be more zone 2, isn't it? You ain't going to run a Sunday long run in zone 1.
No.
So you're still doing some zone 2 work. So it's going to be fine.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking of using Sundays because I'm going to start giving myself Mondays off, I think. I was thinking about using my Sundays as just that easy plod, that easy long plod. So I can just keep things easy, hit the hills easy.
Okay.
And not work too hard on a Sunday. Because today I feel like pretty knackered, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking after 3 sessions, because I've never done ever, I don't think, 3 speed sessions in a week. And I'm going to try and build that up over the next 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Which is why I like the idea of easy Sundays.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you with that. Yeah, just getting out and getting the miles in the legs. But
yeah.
So if you're going to take your Sunday easy, what days are you going to run on? Are you just going to do your Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday? 4 days?
Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, yeah.
Are you going to Friday as well?
Yeah, that would normally be an easy day or a steezy day or something like that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, make your Friday your mega easy day. And then just do Sunday, your long run, whatever feels comfortable.
Yeah, like almost like a long fartlek sort of thing. Yeah, not anything faster than X. If you know what I mean.
Yeah,
nothing faster than.
On a Sunday, get out the door, start running. Don't even look at your watch. Just run at what feels comfortable, and then run at that pace.
Yeah, but remember, you've got another week ahead of you that's hard, so don't run anything too hard. Yeah. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
It's just getting that volume in on the Sunday. That's what it's about. But you don't want it to be zone 1 because you're not really going to get much from it. You want to get at least into zone 2.
Zone 1, I think, is really important for marathon training and long runs and stuff because it's really good to, as they say, to get the blood flow in and that sort of stuff. Even for mental health, running really ploddy and slowly is just really quite pleasant. But yeah, I know what you're saying. You might not get much from it. They might become junk miles, might they? If I'm not doing anything that's quote unquote too slow. So because there is a such thing as that, isn't there? Running too slow.
Yeah,
of
course there is.
Where it can become detrimental. Yeah,
because your form changes completely.
Yeah,
and if your form isn't how it should be when you're running, you're going to cause yourself all sorts of problems. So running too slow can, it's like running with people who are of a completely different pace can be detrimental for both people because the one person might be trying to run too fast to keep up with the person who's faster than them, and they're doing themselves over because they're running too fast on what should be an easier run. And they're going to burn themselves out and cause injuries and all that sort of thing. But then the other way round, the person running with the person who's a lot slower, because they're not running with proper form and they're plodding along, that can cause them problems as well because they're not using their stride properly.
Yeah. It's there's a lot of factors that can when running with others that you don't really think about.
No, it's an easy sport running. It's just putting one foot in front of the other. But when you actually think about it, it's not. It's a really complex game.
I heard something this week, and whether there's any truth in this, I don't know. But they were saying that heel striking across the board is like really badly frowned upon. But something like, I don't know what percentage of this of it is that this is true for, but a big percentage of elite marathoners heel strike because of their stride length and their obscenely large stride length.
But opinions on heel striking have changed over the last couple of years because they've done more and more research and they've found that people who heel strike don't necessarily have the performance problems that they thought it would cause in the past. And that's partly down to new research and new findings, but also down to shoes and the fact that the new shoes are so much more forgiving with the way the foam are that you can get away a bit more with heel striking.
Yeah, heel striking for 20 years in Adios 9s, for example, it's going to cause you problems, isn't it? A running career of 20 years, heel striking in, those Hyperion Max or whatever they're called, not so many problems because it's engineered to reduce those problems, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. But heel striking when you're running fast isn't, I don't know, but I wouldn't see it as bad as heel striking at slow paces, because if you're heel striking at slow paces, your body and your center of mass isn't moving as quick. So you're spending longer on that heel and you're braking every single time and having to push yourself forward to get over that. Whereas if you're moving at pace, your body's still moving forward. So you got that momentum to roll through that foot strike. So it's important to have a good foot strike when you're running slower. And that's possibly why when you're running too slow, so as we were saying, if you're running with someone who's a lot slower, that could cause problems because you're more tending to heel strike and not have that movement forward, have that propulsion.
And I think sometimes, I mean, I know you probably want to test this theory right now, but let's just say you've got a niggle or a stress fracture. You feel like when you're at full pelt, your injuries seem to go away.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a dodgy calf or something,
and it's because you're running with better form.
Yeah, when you're striding out, everything seems to just work. But that's when your cardio system says, "Hang on a minute, what are we doing?"
Yeah. I've had plenty of niggles and stuff in the past where it's hurt when I'm plodding along and running at easy pace, but as soon as you get up to like threshold or like doing sessions and stuff, feels perfectly fine. And it's only when you're running slow and it's because your form changes completely, that's when it starts to hurt.
Yeah. There's a lot of science involved, but sometimes it's as easy as that, isn't it? Just run as fast as you can all the time and you'll be fine.
Yeah, basically. It's an interesting thing because the slower running is really important, and it's really to get your legs moving and recovering is really important. But at the same time, too much of it can be detrimental. And with the fact that you're getting faster and faster, what you've got in your head as your easy pace and your steady pace is probably a lot slower than what it actually is. So your easy pace is probably faster than you think your easy pace is.
Yeah.
Because you're not the same runner you were a year ago.
Yeah. You're constantly evolving, aren't you?
Yeah. Especially your pace compared to the end of last year to what it is now. Think about what your marathon times were.
Yeah.
So if your tempo has moved forward, your easy pace has moved forward as well.
I think from a personal point of view, I don't want this to come across as some sort of like tooting my own horn, but I think I've made more advances in this last 12 months than I ever have since I've started running.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've like when I think about when I ran Newport, that training block then, and I think that was the start of it, because one of the main things that I did when we started this podcast, maybe it's all attributed to that, starting this podcast, but one of the main things that I did was make my easier pace quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And then as a result, I knew what my marathon pace wanted to be. So then I knew where in that grey zone my steady state pace was. And I ran there in that sweet spot. I guess you could call it sweet spot for a lot of Newport. And as a result, Newport went well. And then I sort of kicked on through the summer and towards the back end of last year. And I think I've carried it on this year as well. So it's like, I've sort of learned a few things by consciously taking a leap of faith and just making myself run a bit quicker. And things have, feel like they've sort of fallen into place slightly, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with your eyes set on a sub 3 within the next, what we're saying, next year or two?
Yeah, I think end of 2026, I think.
Okay. So year and a half, 18 months. Your easy pace is going to be a way, way faster pace than what you're running at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's going to have to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, but then again, this is someone I wanted to shout out as well, because we're going to get to Matt in a minute. But Matt Southam, I saw him say, so Matt, what's Matt run recently? I think he ran a 250.
Mm-hmm.
He quite happily still plods at 8 and 9 minute miles, which for some, when you do a 250 marathon, what's that? It must be high sixes, low, mid 640-ish, is it? I don't know, as a guess. Per mile?
For a 250?
Yeah.
No, 250 is 6:26 a mile.
Oh, yeah, okay, there you go.
Just over 6. It's about 6:28 a mile.
Yeah. Well, he still happily plods along at 8 and 9 minute miles. I mean, I know there's a lot of difference between an 8 and a 9 minute mile, but his race pace and his 5K pace is in the 5s. So there's almost like a 4-minute difference between his easy pace and his race pace, his 5K sort of race pace. So I think you've just got to know your own body really, and know what feels good and that's. But then I think there's that argument, isn't there, where if you keep progressing your easy pace faster and faster and faster and faster, are you? Yeah, I think the worry is that you're making your easy days too fast.
Yeah.
Which there's no real way of knowing that other than effort, which it all comes down to, really, doesn't it?
Yeah. See, I see easy pace and recovery pace as two different paces.
Yeah.
I don't think they're the same thing at all. So when you're doing recovery pace, it's whatever feels super, super easy.
Yeah.
So that's zone 1. But I'd say you can be in zone 2 and still be running easy.
Yeah. I think easy pace is. So I thought easy pace was always zone 2, to be honest. When I don't know.
Well, I did that's what I'm saying. So easy pace is in like zone 2, but some people will see easy pace as zone 1 running, that they need to not even enter zone 2 because they're running easy.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I don't see it like that. I'd say zone 1 is like recovery pace.
Yeah. And that's another thing to keep your eye on as well, because some days easy doesn't feel as easy as it did yesterday, which sounds crazy to say, but sometimes there are different factors, or you feel different, or there's different terrain, there's hills, there's hot temperatures, whatever. So I think that's where effort is king, isn't it? I mean, I've said a few things are king today, but effort really is one of the best ways to manage things.
Yeah, definitely, especially when you're changing terrain that you're running on as well. Because as you said, when you did the grass session, you focus more on effort, and you should, because your pace is going to be completely different to when you're on the track, completely different to when you're on the road. So you need to take into consideration what you're running on and whether there's hills or it's flat and things like that, and work to effort on that terrain rather than pace.
Yeah.
Because it's never going to be the same.
Yeah.
That's why cross-country racing is so much fun, because pace goes out the window and it's just about that pure racing thing.
Yeah. Cool. Well, lots to chat on, and as always, we're 1 hour 13 in.
Yes.
And somehow we've got here. But
next on my list down here, I've got a bit of shoes news.
Oh, I've got some shoes news as well. Yeah, go.
So, first bit of shoes news was from our good friend Leggett Lee.
Yeah.
So Lee Neal. He put on his Instagram story the other day, can anyone who has got the Adios Pro 4 give me some honest reviews and advice, because
Yeah.
I'm close to pulling the trigger on buying some. And I sent him a message basically saying they're brilliant. I love them. Really enjoyed running the marathon in them. Felt great at all paces. And they're very different to the Pro 3 in the fact that I'd possibly try and run race a 5K or 10K in the Pro 4 as well. So sent him that message, and pretty much instantly I got a reply back saying, "I've heard enough. I'm placing the order."
That is what is known in the psychology world as a confirmation bias. So
Yeah.
Lee was pretty much had his finger on the trigger, his hand, you know, ready to buy some, and asked the one person who is definitely going to nudge them into getting them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then I said
Well played.
to him, the main question though is what colorway, and he said the baddest colorway known to man. Can you guess?
Black on black.
No. The Flash Aqua that we talked about last week.
Oh yeah, baby.
So that's what he's gone for. Which is
I like
awesome.
the look of those in the Evo SLs.
Yeah.
Enjoy, Lee. They're. I mean, I've not worn them, but I tell you what, I have worn them on a treadmill the day before Valencia Marathon. And if they'd have sold them there and then, I probably wouldn't have worn them, but I would have been tempted to get some. But since then, for some reason, I haven't ever gotten around to buying them. Maybe it's because I haven't had a spare 200 odd quid. But
yeah.
do you know, I remember that's one thing I said to myself in Leeds. Thank God I didn't spend money on some new shoes, because I don't think you can just buy yourself new shoes and expect a marathon PB.
No.
And I'm glad that I didn't buy some new shoes for
yeah, because you'd have been blaming the shoes. You'd be going, I didn't get my PB because of these shoes. Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing to do with how you ran, but yeah. But
what's your shoes news?
Well, I saw this morning, still Adidas related, that Beardy Rich had run he'd run a parkrun this morning, and he'd run, I've got it written down here, a 19:10, which for him is just a jog now. That is Colwick or Colwick, I don't know how you say it, Colwick, I think it is, over in Nottingham, which it looks like a couple of laps around a lake, and he did finish 5th, and he ran in the Evo SLs. And it's his first time wearing them. I don't know if it was his absolute first time wearing them. I'm not sure. But he did a parkrun sandwich, ran there, did the parkrun, ran home. And he's got a quick review for us. And he said, lovely, soft and smooth. Typical Adidas tongue and laces, though. So I don't know if he's too fond of the small tongue.
It is quite short, the tongue. I will say that on the Evo SL, the tongue is slightly short, isn't it? But I'm still adamant. I don't understand why everyone has a go at Adidas laces. Everyone moans about how cheap they feel and how rubbish they are. I don't see any problem with Adidas laces. I think they're quite good.
Yeah, I've never had any unlacing problems, really. So I suppose I can't really comment on how bad they are. But no, I wouldn't say they feel like they're made by blooming Prada. They're not exactly.
No,
but do you want your laces on your running shoes to feel? I don't know.
Not really. No.
I will say that Nike racing shoes are good because they've got that serrated kind of.
That's
feel.
what I was going to say. A lot of the shoe reviewers say the Adidas ones are cheap and they're naff because look at these that the other brands do. But do you really need that type of lace? Does it really change much about the performance of the shoe?
If you're going to single knot them, then you're just asking for trouble. But double knot any shoe and shouldn't really come undone, should it? I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
But he got them in. His words here. I was like, "What colour do you?" I said, Brett's asked me what colourway you've gone for, and he said the most lucid of lemons. So he's got Build Insight high vis colours
Yeah.
Is that a navy blue stripe or a black stripe on the Lucid Lemon?
They're
I can't really tell.
Black
Yeah.
stripe, yeah.
So yeah. So there you go. There's Beardy
Nice.
Rich's shoes news. But before, because we've got a few marathon people who ran last week. Before we move on to that, we mentioned him a minute ago, but Matt Southam,
Yes.
Mr. 250, he ran last week a ultra. He ran something called the UK Ultra 50K South
Nice.
Downs Way, and he
Oh,
did
okay,
it in
yeah.
4 hours and 29 minutes.
Amazing.
And there was 1,260 meters of elevation, so that's probably nearly 4,000 foot, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's
some
decent.
Going,
that is
some going.
And he said that he went off far too fast, and he was hanging on by a thread for the last. But I've never raced an ultra, so God knows how that must have felt. But 4.5 hours,
yeah,
is really, really impressive for an ultra marathon. So. Yeah, very, very well done,
yeah,
Matt.
amazing work, Matt.
Looked like it was from Brighton to Eastbourne, I think, something like that. But yeah, looked like a really good race. So very, very well done to you.
Awesome. Good work. Good work. Yeah, so last Sunday was the Edinburgh Marathon. Yeah. And we had a few people that we know who were running. First off, was Wayne Watkins, who is a member of BNR, and he had a really good race up until when they turned back along the coast towards Musselburgh, and apparently the headwind, pretty much everybody I've heard that ran Edinburgh has said the headwind on the way back was brutal, and it just knocked the wind out of everyone's sails. So he was having a really good race, but it didn't quite go to plan for him in the end, and he ran 3:03:42. So still a really good run from Wayne, but not quite the race he wanted. But great work, Wayne. Then we had Adam and Dan Neal, who are also both BNR runners, and they set off together, and they ran pretty much, I would say, 2/3 of the race together, and they were going really well. And then at mile 19, cramp hit Ad. So Adam struggled with cramp throughout the rest of the race. It really knocked him for 6. And he eventually came across the line in 3:40:16, which still a great time, and another marathon ticked off. That is only his second marathon, though. So to still be running those times in your second marathon is great work. Awesome work, Ad. Cramp is such a nightmare in the middle of a race. It's never what you want, is it? And it just like blows the wheels off, doesn't it?
It's just horrendous. Yeah.
So great work for still getting to the end, though. And then Dan, his brother, managed a bit further than Ad did before cramp and the conditions got to him. I think it started to hit him around 22 mile, but he managed to come in with a new PB of 3:17:36. So that is awesome from Dan to get a PB in those conditions with that headwind on the way back. So great work, Dan. Amazing. And then the last one that we mentioned last week was Harry Purewell, who managed a PB, and I think his last marathon was Manchester, not last year, the year before, so Manchester 2023, and I think he knocked 8 minutes off his time from Manchester, and he came through with a 2:48:57. So a 2:48 in Edinburgh, and I think he was in the top 60 in the race, which is very impressive. So that's an amazing run, Harry, and well done, mate. That's awesome work.
That's really, really impressive. Yeah, well done, mate. I saw him at the Coventry Half, and he was in such good form. He's always such a bright energy, isn't he, in the room? He just lights up a room. He really is. And no doubt we'll probably see it. Well, I will. I don't know if you're going to come down to Two Castles. I think you said you might maybe come down.
I think I am going to come down and just take in the atmosphere from the other side of the course. Yeah,
because that'll feel like a home fixture to him and the likes of Ryan Baker and Haley.
Yeah.
And because it's Kenilworth finish, isn't it? So they're Kenilworth runners. So yeah, well done. Very, very well done, Harry. That was an unbelievable performance. So
yeah,
well done.
Awesome work from everybody who ran Edinburgh, and anybody else out there who ran it as well to deal with those conditions and get to the finish. Yeah, be proud of yourself.
Yeah, I'm really pleased for the Neil boys as well. They're just such good lads.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
So glad to see them doing well.
Yeah. The only other thing I've got on my list here is it's Grand Slam track weekend again.
Wow, that's come round fast. Is that the Philly one?
Yeah, so they're at Philadelphia. This
weekend. West Philadelphia, born and bred.
And they've changed it. They have changed things in Grand Slam tracks. They've listened to some of the feedback and made some changes, which is always good from a new event and new company to actually listen to people and feedback from the fans. So instead of 3 days this weekend, it's going to be over 2. So it's just going to be a Saturday and Sunday fixture, which has mixed up things a bit. So the longer distance events aren't going to have a full day in between their races to recover. It's just going to be over 2 days instead. But because of that, the long distance events, so the 3K and 5K that they would normally do, one on the Friday, one on the Sunday, they've decided because they haven't got that day in between to recover, they don't want to have to do a 3K and a 5K one after the other. So they've changed it to just a 3K, which could be slightly annoying to the people who are in that group because it now means that their prize money for winning the slam has been halved. So instead of having 100K as first prize, they're now going to get 50K for winning that race. But still a good weekend out in it to win 50K.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Grant Fisher will be annoyed because he's won overall in the last 2 slams and 100K. And now the maximum he can get is 50. So, but what is quite exciting about that is because it's only one race and you've got all of these fast people in the race, they can't make it a jog fest anymore. They're going to have to go out and really make it a good race. So you've got all of these people who could be running very fast 3Ks, and it could be super, super fast race, which could be very exciting.
Yeah, because it could be like, I know Ingebrigtsen's tactics do kind of differ, but you know how he sometimes starts off at the back of the field and then waits to kick on because he knows no one can catch him. But sometimes his tactics are to try and tire out the person who's chasing him down.
Yeah.
Because he backs himself to be able to outkick and outlast anybody. So that probably would be not the safer tactic, but the more dangerous tactic. But
I'd really like to see Ingebrigtsen against Grant Fisher in a 3K. Because I think that would be a great race. I don't think Ingebrigtsen would have it all his way. I think Grant Fisher is more than capable of keeping up with Ingebrigtsen across 3K, definitely. Maybe in 5K.
Wow.
But in that long distance group, they've got some good names coming in as the challengers as well, which should make it exciting again. So we've got Andrew Koskinen coming back for this one, and he is the guy that beat Grant Fisher in the 3K in the last slam.
Right.
So he managed to outkick him in the last 100 meters. So that could be exciting. And then we've also got Nico Young and Kai Robinson coming in, who are both good distance runners. But we've also got Graham Blanks coming and racing as well. So those are some very big names and fast racers over 3 and 5K. So it should be a really exciting 3K race in the men's. So I'm looking forward to that. And then also in the women's, some really big names as well. So,
Mm.
yeah, I can see both of the long distance, that both of the 3Ks being very exciting and fast, which, yeah, should change and mix things up a little from what it's been.
That guy called Graham, I think I remember you telling me about him a fair few episodes ago now, but it was he the guy that won a cross-country race in America?
Yes, yeah. So he was he used to go to uni in Harvard, but then he's become pro in the last year.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Whenever I hear the name Graham, it just reminds me of. Do you remember Blind Date, Cilla Black?
And there's Graham
Graham with a quick reminder.
recap. Brilliant. Brilliant. And then in the short distance, so the 15-8 groups,
yeah,
we've got some very exciting people coming in as challengers. So in the men's, we've got Josh Hoey, who is a 800-meter specialist, coming in. We've got Elliot Giles, who is a UK runner. Who is an 8 and 15 guy as well. So that should be interesting. But the most exciting one that's coming in as a challenger is somebody I thought they might have as one of the racers, so one of the people who were signed on, but he wasn't. And he's coming in for this race, and it's Hobbs Kessler. And he was in the Olympics for both the 8 and the 15. He is a very accomplished 8 and 15 runner. And he could be up the front challenging in both races. So this could be really exciting. He could make everybody up their game.
So that sounds...
Yeah, that could be
shaking up the pack then, yeah.
Yeah. So he's gonna shake it up for both races. So the 800-meter specialists, he's gonna challenge them. And then the 1500-meter specialist is going to challenge them as well. So that could be, really good. And then in the women's, Georgia Bell is there.
Yeah.
And basically the 8:15 it's more or less made for her. That's what she does. She's an 8:15 runner. She does well in both events. Whereas everyone else who's in the racers, they're either 1500-meter specialists or 800-meter specialists. So that again, same as with Hobbs Kessler, Georgia Bell could throw the cat amongst the pigeons for the women's. So it should be really exciting racing this weekend. So I'm looking forward to that. But on the Grand Slam track as well, I think you saw it because I shared it on my story on Instagram. There was a really good little video of Josh Kerr doing some Guess the Racer, and they'd shown him pictures of races and put like a emoji face over the face, and he was trying to guess who the runners were. And I just found it hilarious because Josh Kerr gets a lot of hate over in America, and I think it's because they don't get British humour and how dry his humour is, because he's very sarcastic and dry with the way that he is. And the first picture they showed him was Jakob Ingebrigtsen winning the Olympics when he came third. So not the Olympics, just gone the one before.
Yeah.
And his response was, I believe that is the person who came fourth in the Olympics in Paris. And I thought it was quite funny, just throwing that little bit of shade. And most people, I would say, most people in America will see that as ego, and they'll see that as like being disrespectful. But I think it was just a bit of humor and a bit of having a bit of a dig to be funny. But I think that could very easily be taken the wrong way. But that's what I like about him. I think he's brilliant for the sport because he is so confident and he's happy to have a bit of a sarcastic dig at people. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
But anyway, that is that's Grand Slam track, which is happening this weekend.
Yeah, cool. That sounds like there's going to be some good races.
Yes, definitely. So shall we go on to some comments and emails, because we still have a few emails to get through, don't we?
Yeah.
Right.
I've
let
got
me
some.
just quickly.
Just while you're doing that, it was the Stockholm Marathon today on a Saturday.
Oh yes,
not a Sunday,
bizarre.
which is one that I don't know. Would I fancy doing that one day? Maybe. 200 meters of elevation, so it's not flat, but it's in pretty much June, so it's going to be a really hot one. And it was won today in 2 hours and 11 minutes by someone called Ominous Kiplagat Kiplimo. Imagine if your first name was Ominous. His parents are obviously thrilled with his arrival.
Yeah.
So
brilliant.
yeah.
And two surnames of very fast runners.
Yeah.
Kiplagat and Kiplimo.
Yeah.
You've got to be quick with both of those surnames, haven't
you? Dude, before we move on to comments and emails, I'm having an attack of the KFC coming to haunt me, so I'll be back in about a few minutes. I'm so sorry, everyone. Spicy wings. Okay. I'm back.
And you're back. Have the kids been dropped off?
The kids have been dropped off. They've been safely put where they belong. Wow.
Bombs away.
Bombs away. Chucked away. I don't know how I survived that mile session today. It's just all of a sudden, since I got home, yeah, my guts aren't too happy with me. Anyway, comments and emails. Sorry, guys. I'm back.
Brilliant. Right, so let's go on to the comments. We've only got a few first. So first one's from the Ayrshire Runner. And they say, carry on camping, Andy. So you'll have to do a bit of what was her name? Barbara Windsor. Have you ever seen Carry On Camping where she's doing that?
Yeah.
You have to do a bit of that when you go out next in your van. Next one's from Liger Pride, and it says, how did the earwax removal go? Have you been back for your second session?
No, that's next week. So
okay.
I've been putting eardrops in. I love that people are what is it? Earwax watch. That could be a feature for next week. I'm booked in on the 5th of June or something like that. So it's booked in for
so are you
week.
Still half deaf at the moment?
Huh? Yeah, I'm no, it's a lot better actually since I've been using these drops. It is, but I did leave that session thinking, have you actually done anything? Because it feels the same. But yes, I shall let you know. In fact, I will double check if I've got to pay for it, because I don't really, if I'm being honest, I don't really want to pay another 60 quid for it.
No.
Because there's no guarantee it's going to work. So I might just continue to use the eardrops, but I will make that decision in the next few days. But thank you for your concern.
Next is from Natalie J 2902, and this is Natalie from the emails who says, I've definitely got over myself. When we were going to get over yourself,
Natalie. Get over yourself, Natalie. Yeah, sorry I said that.
She says, I know I did my best that I could on the day to complete it, but it did take a while to realise that. And yeah, it does, doesn't it? It does, for it to actually settle in and realise what you've actually achieved does take a while, because the disappointment can overcome everything at the start. But no, you did great, Natalie.
Yeah,
next one's from Kieran Turner, and he says, cheers for the good luck shout out, fellas. It's on the 7th/8th of June. So that's next weekend for his Endure 24. And it's starting to get real. My 30K ended up being 22K as the body said no. But great pod as always. So yeah, his longest training run didn't quite go to plan. But fingers crossed next weekend, everything will, Kieran. So best luck, mate.
Well, he just did an 80K the week before, so 30K is not that, 20K is not that bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Ian Booth says, great listen as ever, chaps. Thank you. Although I should have started listening a tad earlier. I was listening on my long Sunday run and squirted my first gel into my mouth just as you started talking about earwax removal. it didn't go down all that well.
Oh,
Sorry, Ian. Yeah,
sorry, mate.
maybe a gel and that little conversation, probably
Yeah.
didn't go the best together. And last one's from Richard Woolley, and he says, "Hi guys, loving the podcast. Quick question on marathon pace.
Right.
I'm aiming for a sub 4 in October at Amsterdam. My previous 4:21 in Chester. Just wondering how you would incorporate marathon pace into my program, when to start, and how much of it to do. Thanks, guys. Keep up the good work. Hope the earwax removal went well, Andy, and your recovery is going well, Brett."
I'm loving all these well wishes about my earwax. Brilliant. Phenomenal.
So, marathon pace, when would you start introducing marathon pace, and how much of it would you do in your marathon block?
Well, it is again, it's a hot potato, because marathon pace will feel hard on your, that target or goal marathon pace. And your week 1 of training, when you realize you've got 16 weeks of it, and you think, oh my God, I'm never going to get there. But that's fine for it to feel hard at the start. You do run the risk of maybe burning yourself out if you try to get there too soon. If you start now, for example, if it were me, I'm just happy to go loosey-goosey and just go into a training block and gradually get used to marathon pace, a mile or a kilometer at a time. Before you know it, you'll be running 10K at it, or longer, 10 miles at it, towards the end of the block. But for me, it would probably be a couple of weeks into the block.
Yeah,
that's probably what I would do.
Yeah, if I was doing like a 15-week block, I would wait, at least 3 or 4 weeks. So the first 3 or 4 weeks would be long runs, would just be going out and getting long runs into the legs and just getting used to the distance before you start putting any pace and any reps into the long run. Definitely. If it's the midweek, like training sessions and stuff, during a marathon block, I'm not really running marathon pace in my sessions that often. It's normally a bit faster than marathon pace, and like half marathon pace and quicker. So the marathon pace is normally done during the Sunday long run, and that's when I tend to try and lock into those paces on the long run. But I would have at least 3 or 4 weeks of a 15-week block of just getting mileage up before you even start introducing it. But
it's meant to scare you as well. You're meant to think, I don't know if I can do this. Early on. So don't worry if it feels unattainable. Give yourself 8 weeks. Before you know it, it will feel a lot easier.
And but even at the end of the block, you're going to be thinking, how am I going to hold this pace for 26 mile? It's a quick pace, and you don't realize what you're actually capable of after a taper and getting ready to actually race. So it's always going to feel difficult, marathon pace, during a block, because you're running it on tired legs throughout the whole of the block. But just slowly introduce it from about 4 weeks into the long run, and start maybe doing a mile at marathon pace and a couple of mile off, and another mile at marathon pace, and then slowly introduce blocks of maybe 2 or 3 mile, or do it off time, maybe do 10 minutes at marathon pace or 15 minutes at marathon pace, and do a couple of those blocks and stuff. But just slowly introduce it as you're going through the block.
That's sound advice. It was Richard's our last comment.
Yes.
Okay, well, going back to Ian Booth, who's just written a comment. About 3 years ago, he wrote an email. So he says, "Hi, Brett and Andy. Great last episode, and I'm pleased that Brett came through London with no further problems. Wishing you a speedy recovery. Just recovering from the Birmingham half, where I smashed my PB.
Yes.
Previously, it was 1:49. I was hoping for 1:45. I wanted close to 1:40, and I came in at 1:35.05.
Ah, yes.
which was way faster than I'd anticipated. I put this down to a really good training block leading up to it based on some solid advice from those, such as yourselves, who know a lot more about running these distances than I do. Anyway, now I've signed up to Manchester Marathon next year.
Yes.
I thought that I should take as much good advice as possible leading into that training block into the new year, as it's very much uncharted territory for me. And as a result, I wanted to start S&C exercises sooner rather than later. So I'm used to it before the training block starts, but I haven't got a clue where to start. He doesn't even reference me, which I like. It just goes, Brett, are there any specific S&C reps you would recommend? Or is there a specific source that you would sort? Is there a specific source that you would use for your S&C sessions? Are there any tips that you would give to runners like myself who've never done any S&C? Keep up with good work, chaps. It's becoming a weekly treat to listen to the pod on my Sunday long runs. Now, this is a person who knows who he's listening to, because he knows I don't do any. He's not wasted his time or his energy writing a paragraph saying, "Oh, Andy, what are your thoughts?" He knows. So over to you.
We had this conversation a while back, didn't we, about you going into this 5K training block and me saying you need to start doing S&C because you've got away with it for a long time, and you've been very lucky.
Got away with it.
You have. You've got away with it for a long time, and as you're starting to get quicker, and as you're starting to put more load through your body is going to start breaking down more and more. And if you don't make it stronger,
Are you waiting for that "I told you so" moment? Because it's going to come, isn't it?
I don't want to have an "I told you so" moment, and that's why I'm trying to encourage you to do the S&C, because I don't want to be saying "I told you so," because that means you won't be running.
It must be.
I know how horrible it is to not be running. So,
well, I tried because I went to IKEA last week next door to Wednesbury. There's a retail park in Wednesbury. There's a decathlon there.
Yes.
I went in and you said, I went in and there's a weight section. Saw the dumbbells, 30 quid per dumbbell. I was like, I'm not paying that. That was ridiculous. So I didn't get one. 10 kilos. 10 kilo dumbbell. Yes. 30 quid a dumbbell. I was expecting it to be about 7 quid for two.
No.
Thought, what?
I bought mine from there, but they weren't that much. I think I paid about 17 quid per dumbbell.
They were hex ones.
Yeah. They're exactly the same as what I bought. I think when I bought them, they were about 17 quid per dumbbell. So they've gone up to 30 quid a dumbbell.
29.99, yeah. So I thought, sorry, I will not do S&C for one more block.
Yes, I don't blame you.
But anyway, what would you say to Ian then?
So I would say if you've never done S&C before, you don't need any weights to start off with. Do everything body weight to start off with, and you can do a lot of good just by using your body weight. When I'm doing my S&C, I only do a couple of exercises that even use weights, so most of it is body weight. But squats are really good. So deep squats if you can get down, but if not, just go squat as far as you can. Then things like reverse lunges to really work on your quads and your glutes as well. And then core work, so you can do things like planks and mountain climbers, and side planks and things like that, which will start working your core. You can do what are they called? Is it the bird dog? I think that's what it's called, where you're on your hands and knees and you put one hand out and your opposite leg out straight as well, and then swap over for the other side. What else do I do? Glute bridges. Glute bridges are an important part and really good. So, the closer your heels are to your bum, it'll work more of your glutes. The further away your heels are from your bum, it'll work your hamstrings more. So do a mixture of the two. You can even do walking out and walking back in glute bridges. So start off with your heels quite close and then take a step out with both feet and then take a step back in whilst you're holding that glute bridge. But remember to keep all your glutes tight and your core tight as well whilst you're doing that. But when you do start to introduce weights, I would say the thing that has made the biggest difference in my S&C since I started introducing it was single leg Romanian deadlifts. And I've said this before on the pod, but I'm not joking. They have made such a difference to my hamstring and my glutes that if you can start introducing those into your S&C, they will make a massive difference. I've always struggled with my glutes and my hammies. Every single race I do, I struggle with my glutes and hammies. I did London this year and I didn't have a single glute or hamstring issue throughout the whole race. And I put that down to those single leg RDLs.
Right.
So just, I do it with a 10 kilogram dumbbell in each hand. And basically it's a hinge movement from your waist. So as you drop down the weights to the floor, your one leg comes up straight behind you.
I'm watching one now. So I think he's just showing what you should be doing. Yeah. He hasn't done yet the leg bit.
So if you want to, yeah. So look.
I don't know if you can see that, but the leg's coming up out the back now.
Yeah, and he's doing it with one hand. So I have a dumbbell in both hands and just go forward, and my one leg comes up. So you can do it with one hand or both. So yeah, I mean, in which video was it? I think it was my last one before London, my last training video. I basically did a little clip of every exercise pretty much. I think I missed a couple that I do in my S&C routine. So if you go back to my week 15 training video, I think it was, there is on either the Tuesday or the Thursday, a quick clip of every S&C thing I do. Now, you don't need to do them all. You don't need to do like a lot of it, but it helps me. And I'm not saying it's going to help everybody in exactly the same way. Everybody's different. But yeah, those single leg RDLs have been incredible to improve my glute and my hamstring strength.
Right. And you kind of need your hamstrings for running. Mm-hmm. So strengthening those bad boys would be a good shout. So, right. Cheers, Ian. That's a great question. I'm sure that's very valuable for a lot of people. This is from Darren Suster, who's written in, he's written in before. And Darren often finds himself at the front end, the sharp end of a race. And he's titled this Puma Fast R3 Impressions on a Hot Day in the Office. Hi, lads. Eternally grateful for the pod. Tuning in is an essential part of all my recovery runs. Hearing you two waffle on was a great distraction from battered legs. I had the pleasure of debuting the Puma Fast R3 as part of Project 3 at London. The warm conditions were actually the least of my worries going into the race week, as I'd been living in Sydney, Australia during my 8-week training block, and the summer weather over there had led to some brutal long runs sessions in 30 plus degrees. I could spend hours coming up with every excuse under the sun, pardon the pun, as to why the race didn't go my way, but ultimately it just wasn't my day, and that's okay. With a $3,000 carrot dangling in front of me as a reward for breaking 2:28, I tried my best to hang on, flying through halfway in 1:13.51. But from mile 16 onwards, I started to crumble and I crossed the line in 2:35. Some would say that having a financial reward for a good race performance would be a great motivator. And I agree to a certain extent. But personally, I found it acted more. I found that it acted more as yet another element of pressure on an already nervy day. I now have an even greater respect for the pros who do this for a living and rely on good performances to put food on the table. Speaking of pros, Shout out to Kipchoge is definitely needed. He truly is a man of the people.
Yeah.
Dishing out fist bumps and smiles to the championship runners as we were ushered into the start pen. None of the other non-British elites gave us regular guys a second glance, which is fair enough. They are technically at work after all, and understandably getting themselves in the zone. How amazing is that?
Right. Kipchoge is awesome.
Onto the shoes. As a Vaporfly guy, I'd never used anything but Puma before, and I'd never used anything from Puma before, and I had my doubts. But the Fast R3 excelled in pretty much every category bar one: the durability. The R3s are light as a feather, breathable, and the spring on the forefoot is ridiculous. Out of the box, they feel like running with springboards on your feet. I would recommend even the biggest Nike or Adidas fanboy, you know who you are, to give them a try. The one category they fall short on is the durability, and we were given 2 pairs. And my training pair were a bit worse for wear after a weekly hammering, and they most definitely are a special occasion shoe and designed to be used for a good time, not a long time. After a restful summer, I'll be turning my attention to a winter Spanish marathon and another attempt at the elusive 229, either at Malaga, Valencia, or Seville. The Fast R3 will have to wait until then to be worn again. Please keep churning out the pods. I really do look forward to them, and hopefully see you both in Spain. Kind regards, Darren.
Awesome. Cheers, Darren. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. The added pressure of that, although it is a good motivator, it's another bit of pressure, isn't it, on you to try and achieve that thing. And if it's not going to plan, and you can see that monetary reward fizzling in the distance, I can imagine that making it even worse. Towards the end. Yeah.
But what a performance! So
incredible! Yeah, 2:35 is still an incredible time, isn't it?
Yeah. Did he say went through halfway in 1:13? Was it something like that? To try and get that 2:28. So, and it was so warm. Anybody that raced in London that day. I mean, I wasn't there, but from what you've said, it sounded like an oven. And you know what London's like on a hot day.
Yeah, it was very hot. But it's interesting, the durability thing about the Fast R3s. They sat. I am very intrigued by them. They sound great. But I have heard a couple of people that I've listened to talk about them have said they very much get you up on your toes. So they're very calf heavy. So they really put the load through your calves. And a couple of people I've listened to have said they struggled with them because of that. And also, Charlotte Purdue has recently moved from Adidas to Puma, hasn't she? So she made her debut in Puma at London, and she pulled out halfway with calf issues, and she was wearing the Fast R3.
Really?
So I'm not sure whether that caused those calf problems. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it is, I am very...
It's interesting to hear about the durability as well. Sorry, I know you were... I'll go ahead. No.
I was just going to say I would be intrigued and interested to try them out, but at the same time, if there are bad things like that being said, is it worth the risk? I don't know.
And I know it seems like we're very pro Adidas here on this channel, but like when you stack up like an Adidas shoe versus a Nike shoe, especially a racing shoe, how would a Vaporfly or an Alphafly look after 500 miles compared to a Adios Pro 3 or 4? Like, they look almost unworn when you clean them up. And the Vapor and the Nike stuff. So it sounds like the Puma are very similar, because that foam is so what's the word? It's just so focused on performance.
Yeah.
Rather than, longevity, really. And it's it's evident, isn't it? It just falls to pieces. Yeah.
Yeah. It's that it's that fine line between softness and resilience, isn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah,
But yeah, it sounds like you've got some good fitness, and that can't have been easy changing continents like that, for a training block and training. Well, it sounds like the hot weather in Sydney prepped you quite well for the day.
Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised if changing round like your time of day from halfway around the world will have affected the way you raced as well. It depends how like close to the marathon you travelled from Australia back round to the UK.
That can't have been an easy adjustment.
No.
Yeah.
But
very, very well done.
Yeah. Amazing.
We've got another one here from Richard Erdley, and he says, "Hi, Annie and Brett. Took a few weeks to get around to sending this, although with the traffic perhaps for the best.
Well,
the traffic you've had.
We took a few weeks to get around to reading it, mate, so it's all good."
Yeah. Firstly, huge congratulations, Brett, on accomplishing your PB in London, especially considering the crazy circumstances. And secondly, Andy, sending this result just after I've seen your Leeds result. A fantastic achievement on what looks like a challenging course. As promised, a summary of Manchester. I knew it was going to be warm, and so grateful that I started in the red wave just after 9. First few miles felt good until a stitch hit me at 2. Thankfully, I focused on the incredible crowd support, and then soon hit 5K. I decided to manually split every 5K in 21:08, which I think, here he goes, knowing that 21:15 splits would see me in sub 3. Next 5K split was 21:08 with a pleasant next 7 to 8 miles, seeing my wife and son during this until the stitch returned at 11. Thankfully, or perhaps not, the dreaded Altrincham Hill was soon after, which seemed to distract me enough to get rid of the stitch. I must say that I'd psyched myself up so much that it was going to be absolute hell, but didn't find it particularly challenging. Perhaps a huge benefit,
because it's not a hill.
Perhaps a huge benefit that it's earlier on in the race. Now the course has changed. The next four times 5K splits were 21:05, 21:17, 21:04, and 21:11. Still feeling fairly comfortable approaching the final 7 miles. The heat did start to have an impact by the time it hit around 11 a.m. And I told myself when I started that I'd take water to thirst every water station, something that truly helped. I slowed down a little, and the last 5K was a real slog, having to dig really deep, especially during a lot of other runners pulling up with cramp or what I assume is difficulty with the heat. Finally, getting to the new final straight and then getting the sights of the finish line, as well as the roar from the crowd, the crowd support, really, really pushed me to keep the pace for the final 400 meters. I crossed the line. Chip time 2:59:04.
Amazing.
Absolutely ecstatic that I achieved the target, particularly due to the conditions on the day. I must say that from the moment I woke up, everything just seemed to feel good. I've decided to take the summer off heavy training and rack up some easy miles over the trails before doing an 8-week block for Copenhagen half in September. We'll then have a big decision as to what marathon to tackle next week, with the assumption that London ballot will give me no chance. With all the discussion of carb loading, I decided to essentially use liquid carbs from the Wednesday before the race as opposed to solids, something that worked for me and I'd recommended, particularly with the challenge of trying to increase carbs dramatically without it becoming boring. This isn't a short email at all. After all, apologies. A final question, though. You did briefly speak about marathon majors. So which one would you most likely do apart from London? Anyway, thankful that I can now relax but continue listening to your super podcast. Keep it up. Approaching 2.5 hours for episode 64 is impressive. All the best to you both. Rich Erdley.
Amazing. That's
so
awesome.
Yeah. So sub 3 in Manchester on that day, hitting target, which not a lot of people did by the sounds of things, because the heat really, really smashed people's second half. So, sounds like
that's incredible.
Yeah, sounds like pacing it right, doing the training, drinking the water, getting those liquid carbs in before. And sometimes when you wake up in the morning and you feel like a horse in the traps, ready to be released, you just feel like today's going to be a good day. And yeah, so it sounds like London would have been on Richard's radar, but obviously we'd all love to do London, but with with 1 million plus people in the ballot, yeah, we can't all be as lucky as everybody else. So yeah, what would be then your one marathon major?
We've talked about this before, but I haven't got a clue what I said last time.
So instead of ranking them from order,
which one?
Which one?
Do you know? As I say, I can't remember what I said last time, but right now, my answer would be, I'd love to do Boston.
Yeah. I think the feeling of just qualifying for it and the difficulty of the course and the buzz of it would be special.
And with it being the home of the marathon, really.
Yeah.
It's got to be in it. Yeah.
For me, it's between that and New York, just because I'm just love New York City and the culture of New York.
Yeah.
I can't really call it, but I think because Boston is technically harder to get into, for that reason, it'd probably be Boston.
As a holiday, going and racing the marathon and having a holiday afterwards, New York would probably be better.
Yeah.
But as a race, for the race itself, Boston.
Yeah. I think that's I think a fair few people would have a similar opinion, I think. So, okay, well, we'll move on to the next one, which is from Tony Maybe. And he's called this Valencia Baby. He says, "Hi, guys, long-time listener, second-time emailer. My spring marathon this year was Boston on a tour package entry as the BQ is not in reach. Enjoyed the race, but despite a good training block, it was a hard effort. But did manage to pick up the 6-star medal. Excellent. So what's next for me? Valencia 2025, targeting a PB, sub 340 is the A goal. I hear you guys putting the event in the calendar. So how about a running the red line shakeout? There should be a good few listeners. Sign-ups in advance, limited numbers. Brett can produce the prints in order to merch. The print to order merch shirt with a margin, coffee, after, and Bosch. Happy to help out if another pair of hands helps." So Tony sounds like he should be on The Apprentice.
Yeah, he's pitching. Are we the dragons on Dragon's Den?
Yeah. Sat here with our cash in front of us. Sat here with our 30 quid advertising budget. Well, firstly, congratulations for
amazing.
Boston. That sounded amazing, as we were just saying. It sounds like such a great event and a great weekend or week away. So well done. So you did manage to pick up the 6-star medal. So you've done the lot then. That's amazing.
Yeah, incredible.
So Valencia 2025. So we know you're obviously going to be there. You're
well, hopefully, as long as I can get back into running and get a decent block. Yes.
Yeah.
I am definitely going to be there.
I am all signed up. I am in until I am not in. Now, I have ummed and ahed about not doing the race for various reasons.
Yeah.
I still not have made a final decision. I would love to do the race. I really enjoyed Valencia last year, and I would recommend it because I think it is a great race to do. But I'm not 100% in, and I'm not 100% out either. So I think I just need a little bit more time to consider and see what lies ahead in the future.
So at the moment, you're doing the hokey cokey with Valencia, yeah.
Yeah, basically. So that's what it's all about. So I saw a sign once on in someone's house, and it said, "What if the hokey cokey is really what it's all about?" So I like that.
Yeah.
So yes, maybe we will need another pair of hands because we might not be able to manage all 4 people that come to our shakeout. But if we're both there,
yeah, that would be fun though, wouldn't it? Yeah,
yeah.
We should probably do that at another race as well. Maybe one in the UK at some point. Just do a little bit of a meetup or something.
Yeah, that could be good, couldn't it? But yeah, cheers, Tony. Thanks for your email, and well done on Boston, and all the best for Valencia prep.
Yeah,
and the last one that has come in is from Stephen Smith, and he said, "Hi guys, my second marathon in 4 weeks done, finishing around 3 minutes faster than London in 3:21:41." Sorry, he's titled this Edinburgh Marathon. Brutal conditions for the final 8 miles with 40-mile-an-hour gusts to ensure that we all crossed the line with nothing left in the tank. You can see from my splits where it all started to go south. Had the conditions been perfect, I would have been on for a potential PB of 3:15 or thereabouts, but hey-ho, it wasn't to be. Thwarted by the weather, both in London and Edinburgh, but we go again with Loch Ness in September.
Ooh,
hope Brett
nice.
is well on the road to recovery, and Andy is now feeling well, fully refreshed after Leeds. So you can see with Stephen's Edinburgh splits.
Yeah, you can see where the headwind hit, can't you?
Yeah. So what's that? 20 miles, 19 miles. It looks like it just became unbearable. So yeah, I can imagine that feeling of crossing the line, having burned all your matches and all the matches you've ever owned in your life. You bought extra matches and you burned them as well.
Yeah.
So congratulations. What is that? 2 in 4?
Yes,
Second
2 in 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
And Edinburgh was faster than London, did he say?
Yes.
Amazing.
3 minutes faster. Yeah.
Wow.
So amazing. Work.
Yeah, awesome work. Awesome. Right. Is that all the emails?
We're up to date.
We're up to date.
We're up to date. I can't believe it. Nobody ever send us an email ever again.
No, we need something to talk about next week. So please send some emails.
Keep them coming in.
Amazing. So all that leaves is for us to go through the Strava segment. So, last week's leaderboard, and this is a very interesting leaderboard this week, and I've got to say, it's amazing, because in first place on our distance leaderboard is Ryan Gowan with 92.8 miles, which is some fair old distance to hit the top of our leaderboard, which is amazing work.
Yeah.
Second place is Kyle Blacketter with 80.5 miles, which again is a great distance. But in third place, with only 0.4 of a mile behind, with 80.1 miles, is our top lady. So our first lady on the leaderboard is third overall this week, and it is Liz Brown. So amazing work, Liz. That is some massive mileage, 80 mile for the week. So amazing work there.
Liz, you were top of the league for total running time. Can you see that list as well?
Yeah.
Liz, you smashed everybody by 4 hours. 19 hours you ran last week. Con Burdekin, 15 hours. Ryan, 14 hours. So well done.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, incredible work. So our climbing top 3. First was Ryan Gowan with 7,851 foot. Second was Matt Southam and his Ultra with 6,260 foot. And third was, I can't see this second part of his surname.
I've got it. Let's do it in your best Spanish accent.
I'll let you do it then.
Hola. ¿Cómo estás? Coming third in the climbing, Mark, that's not a very Spanish sounding name. Mark Beltran Segarra.
There we go.
Maybe see you in Valencia.
So Mark
Valencia.
Beltran Segara, it was third with 5,909 foot. So awesome work. And then because our top lady was in our top 3, I'm going to do a second, a third, and a fourth lady this week. So second was Rachel Watson with 59.5 miles. Third was Chloe Hammard with 50.7 miles. And fourth was Victoria Lee with 45.5 miles. So amazing work from everybody last week. And
Rachel,
if you aren't already...
Rachel finished 6th overall.
Yes, that was the other thing. Yeah, so our second lady was 6th overall, which is
big moves from the girls this week.
Definitely, yeah, giving the men a run for their money. But amazing work, everybody. If you're not already, come and join our Strava club, and you may have your mileage or climbing read out one week on the pod. So yeah, come and join the Running the Red Line Strava club.
Come join
us.
But
I think that is about it. Have you got anything else?
No, my gut has settled, so I think I'm finally okay. I don't have to nip to the toilet or anything, so I'm all right. Is that how long this episode's been? I've needed to go to the toilet during the episode. But no, I think that's everything. So yeah, it's been a good week, and thanks to everyone for writing in as always. And
yes, yeah, and if you aren't already, go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's try and get those subscriber counts up. And the same with whether you listen to us on, I don't know, on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or what are the other podcast platforms? I don't know, but give us a follow on any of those. And if you can, go and give us a 5-star review on the podcast channel of your choice. Let's get the good news out there that we are putting these out every week, and get some more listeners.
Let's see if we can get at least 5 people for the Valencia shakeout.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you imagine can you imagine Ben Parks over there, and then you've got say Sky with their 400 people there. We're running the red line. Hi guys.
Yeah,
we've got a little flag.
Red line shakeout with people in their tens.
And I might not even be there. I'm not gonna bother. I've come to Valencia, but I didn't even go to the shakeout. But that'd be awesome.
Amazing. So thank you very much for listening or watching, and we shall see you next week. Cheers, guys.
Take it easy, guys. Ta-da.